So the next paper is 50 Shades of Support, a device-centric analysis of Android security updates. And we have authors from the Florida International University and Google. Here to present, we have Abbas Acar. He obtained his PhD at Florida International University, where he served as postdoc for 3 years, and now is a senior research scientist at Harun Labs. This research was done during his postdoc, and his interests are involved system security, particular IoT and mobile security and privacy, and the security of machine learning. Let's welcome Abbas.
Thank you. Hello, my name is Abbas Acar. I'm currently working as a senior research scientist at Harun Labs. This work has been done when I was a postdoc at Florida International University. And in this work, we also collaborated with Dr. Güliz, Seray, Tuncay from Google. And our work and today's presentation is on the analysis of Android security updates. Android is by far the most popular operating system with over 3 billion mobile active devices. Like any other software, vulnerabilities are also found in Android. Timely and regularly patching these vulnerabilities is critical for end-user security. However, with the new devices and models released every day, it becomes more and more complex to be able to deliver these patches to the end users. Therefore, regular users are experiencing issues like delays or missing the updates at all. And the users experiencing these issues express their complaints in the community forums, as we can see some of them in these examples. And these issues are sometimes specific to the models or sometimes specific carriers or regions. Android security updates rollout process consists of several steps. In the first step, AOSP collects CVEs and patches affecting the devices running on Android. Next, AOSP publishes monthly security bulletin containing these CVEs and patches. After that, OEMs like Samsung apply these patches and apply their customizations, then perform the test and create the final firmware containing these security updates. Finally, carrier do the test and approves the final firmware. After that, end users accept and install these security updates containing the patches to these CVEs through the over-the-air update. Some prior studies in the literature look at the issues in this process. However, these studies are either limited to specific type of vulnerabilities, such as kernel vulnerabilities, or they have limited number of firmware images and security updates from each OEM. Therefore, and we consider that there are simple but highly relevant questions that could be answered. For example, what's an average support duration of an Android device? Or what are the factors that are impacting the distribution of these security updates? Also, they do not perform an analysis of unpatched devices. For example, when does it become unsafe to use unpatched Android devices? Also, in this paper, we look at the key issues and exemplary practices that could be adopted by other OEMs. And we put a lot of effort into data collection for this study. And our data collection ended up with 354,000 security updates from Samsung and 2,200 security updates from Xiaomi, 9,000 security updates from Oppo, and only 900 security updates from Google. As you may have noticed, Samsung has a lot more security updates than the others. The reason for that is Samsung is the biggest market player for a decade, while Xiaomi and Oppo are recently catching up. On the other hand, Google has only limited number of devices in the market. Our security updates dataset that we collected belong to the devices that's being used in tens of different countries and has hundreds of different unique devices. I want to also note that the duration of the datasets that we collected almost covers the entire history of these OEMs. In addition to the security updates, we also collected the support list. The support lists are what's available to the end user and what they can see to verify whether their devices will receive security updates or not. Let's start with the security update received by Google devices. In this figure, we represent each dot with a security update. For example, here we can see the security update received by Pixel device. On average, we found that Google devices receive around 36 security updates for a fixed duration of 3 years, with a frequency of 1 month and essentially with 0-day delays. On the other hand, Samsung devices receive around 16 security updates, and they receive for around 2 years. During our research, we noticed that the total support stay in the support list for these devices around 6 years. Therefore, we conclude that the stay in the support list is not equal to the duration that devices will receive the security updates. In our further research on Samsung security updates, we found that frequency of the security updates is 50 days and the delay is 140 days for Samsung devices. On the other hand, for Xiaomi and Oppo, we found that they receive relatively fewer security updates with a better delay metric. Therefore, our conclusion from this analysis is that Google provides monthly security updates for a fixed period of 3 years, while Samsung security update behavior varies depending on the factors that we will see in this presentation later. And finally, Oppo and Xiaomi offer relatively fewer security updates for a shorter duration. So far, we look at the security update behavior of OEMs from during the supported period of these devices. However, these devices stop receiving security updates after a few years. And in this part, we wanted to analyze the risks that arise in unpatched Android devices over time during the unsupported period. And for analysis, we mapped the CVs to the devices using last Android version as well as the chipset information. And we filtered the CVs published before end of life of the devices. For the end of life information, we used the date of last security update of the devices. In total, we assigned CVs to 21,000 pairs from Samsung, 750 pairs from Xiaomi, and 1,100 pairs from Oppo, and 20 devices from Google. Our first findings show that 36% of these pairs have at least one impacting CV and have not received security updates in the last 3 months. Next, we wanted to look at the CV accumulation of these unpatched devices. And our results show that an unpatched device is likely to receive around 76 CVs only in the first quarter, and 3 of them with the critical severity score. And the number of CVs can reach up to 380 CVs in 2 years, and 600 CVs in around 5 years. And we also look at the attack vector, attack complexity, and user interaction of these CVs on unpatched devices. And we found that 89% of these CVs do not require any user interaction, 86% of them can be exploited with minimal effort on the attacker's part, while 27% of them can be exploited remotely. To better understand our unpatched device analysis, we perform a case study using Galaxy Z Fold 3 5G. And we found that this device is still in the monthly support device list as of today. And it's an AER Android Enterprise Recommended Certified device. And it has the guaranteed security update date until August 2026. And we found these 4 pairs that received the last security update in August 2022. So that means that these devices are not receiving any security updates for more than a year. And we look at their last security update, and we found that these devices are with Android 12, and they use this Qualcomm chipset. So we assigned CVs using this chipset information and Android version, and we filter out the CVs came out before August 2022. So our final result is showing that these devices have 142 impacting CVs, and 6 of them are critical and can be remotely exploited without any user interaction. So next, we wanted to analyze the factors impacting the distribution of Android security updates. In the paper, we have the analysis for these 5 different factors. For this presentation, I'll only present 3 of them. The first factor that we looked is the support type. A support type of the devices, during our analysis, we found that a support type is not a single support type. It could be monthly, quarterly, or biannual support type. And devices generally start with the monthly support and then switch to the quarterly, then they receive the biannual support. Finally, they stop receiving any security updates. We found that these different support types have significantly different support behavior. During the monthly support, these devices are receiving around 33 security updates, while during the quarterly, they only receive 9 security updates, and during the biannual support, they only receive 4 security updates. We found that this analysis is actually aligned with the previous study in the literature, which is reporting 25 days of delays for the Android devices. However, I would like to note here that our analysis showing there are actually different type of support. That's not monthly support is only some certain devices. Our conclusion here is that timelines and availability of security updates vary significantly for different support types. The second factor we'll look is the geolocation. For this analysis, we mapped the number of security updates received by devices into a real-world map. As we can see in this picture, there are irregularities between the different regions in the world. While some regions are receiving more security updates, some other regions are receiving fewer security updates. On the other hand, the support duration is showing more uniform distribution. And when we look at the frequency metric, we can also see the similar irregularities, as well as when we look at the delay metric, we can see the similar irregularities as well. And to better understand and to get a more concrete understanding of impact of geolocation on the distribution of security updates, we grouped and sorted different countries. And we picked the top 5 and bottom 5 countries. And for this analysis, we only selected the monthly supported devices for a better comparison. As we can see, the top 5 countries are receiving 3 times more security updates than the bottom 5 countries, even though they're supposed to be getting both of them are monthly support. Therefore, our conclusion here that there are variations in support across different regions and countries. The third factor that we wanted to look is the device type. We wanted to see whether the smartphones and tablets receive the same support type, same support behavior. So first thing that we noticed that Samsung tablets do not receive any monthly support, but they directly start with the quarterly support. On the other hand, smartphones also stay in the support list 2 times more than the tablets. On the other hand, for Xiaomi, we observed the tablets are very similar to those for smartphones. And for Oppo, it has yet to publish any security updates for its tablets in any of the 35 countries that we looked at. Finally, for Google, we identified one tablet model, Pixel C, which exhibits the exactly same behavior as its smartphones. Therefore, our conclusion here is that device type is a major factor impacting security updates only for some OEMs. Throughout this research, we identified some key issues that could be immediately fixed by OEMs. For example, there are significant variations in support models and pairs support behavior. For example, these 2 pairs that are used in neighbor countries, they have the same model, but one of them stopped receiving security updates in October 2020, the another one is still receiving security updates as of today. And we identified discrepancies in the support list. And for example, Galaxy A7 2018 model was in the support list until December 2022. However, this specific model stopped receiving security updates in January 2019. Also, AER certified devices have guaranteed support date today or sometime in the future. We identified 200 AER certified pairs that haven't received any security updates for at least a year. And we've also found that announcements sometimes could be misleading. For example, an announcement made by Samsung in February 2021 saying at least 4 years of security updates for eligible devices. And we checked those eligible devices, and there are 343 pairs out of 8,000 pairs have already stopped receiving security updates. And similar announcement made in February 2022 promising 5 years of security updates for eligible devices, 2 of them have never received any security update. So during our research, we also identified some practices that could be adopted by all OEMs. For example, guaranteed support date is one of them. If the users knew when their device will stop receiving security updates, they can give a better informed decision on the devices to use. And this is also recommended by Federal Trade Commission. And this approach right now is only adopted by Motorola and Google. The other OEMs are only utilizing it for AER certified devices. On the other hand, end of support device list would also give a very beneficial, useful information to the end user and for the devices that will not be continued to support. And right now, Motorola, Xiaomi, and Google are only OEMs that are using this approach in practice. Finally, model-based support list will be a good practice in the real life, so that users can go check their model directly in the support list. Right now, Oppo is the only OEM that is using this in the practice. So our key takeaways from this research. We identified significant variations in security updates due to OEMs, geolocation, and device type. And we found that being in the support list does not guarantee that devices will receive security updates. We also found that unpatched devices pose immediate risks to end users for publicly known, remotely exploitable, and simple attacks that require no user interaction. And in general, end user is left with unclear, inconsistent, or minimum information across different sources, even from a single OEM. And in this matter, OEMs can adopt guaranteed support date, end of support device list, and model-based support list approach to address these issues. Finally, our conclusion from this research is that there is room for accountability and improvement in which OEMs should publish the support duration of all device models and pairs, and they should maintain the timelines of their security updates. Our code and data is available on GitHub. We highly encourage you to go check the interactive maps. And this code and data is approved by the Artifact Committee, is available, functional, and reproduced. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll be happy to answer if you have any questions.
Thank you, Abbas, for this nice presentation. Are there questions in the audience? Please introduce yourself when you make the question.
Thanks for letting us know the status of all these updates. Probably people don't know. So I'm Roland Yap from NUS. So because some things are not updated, then there will be a window of vulnerability. But are you sure that the CV is necessarily applicable? Right? Because different devices may have other things in them, so the CV may or may not be applicable.
Yeah. So in this part, we are not analyzing whether the CVs are exploitable or not, but we are looking if the patches are delivered to the end users or not. So what we have seen is, for example, in the previous talk, we have seen a lot of CVs, and there are patches available in the AOSP, and however, when it comes to delivering these patches to the end user, we have seen some issues on some of the devices. So yeah.
Thanks. More questions? Okay, then I'm going to ask one question. On one hand, I'm happy that I have this notification saying that I have an update to install. So this makes me happy at least for 1 more year. This is 2 years old. But what do I do in a year when I will be, I know that there are some custom images out there that you can install on your phone, your Android phone. What's your take on that? Should we take matter in our own hands, or should we stick to not updated phones or change?
Yeah, so I think there could be 2 different approaches for technical users and general users. And technical users, for example, one thing we have noticed that is not in the presentation or in the paper, these custom Android systems, sometimes they are faster than the general users. However, they just put it on the website, so you have to go download and install it and do the rest. If you can do the rest, that will be perfect, and you can get it immediately, any patches, basically. For general users, however, it's not on the user. I think it's more on the OEMs that they should implement more like for example, support-based, the model-based support list or some guaranteed date for all devices would be, I think, good approach to be able to address some of the issues. Yeah.
Thank you. Any more questions? If not, let's thank Abbas once again.